Everyone, and welcome to another live show. Make sure you guys are liking this video and subscribing to the channel, getting into the chat, letting me know how you guys are thinking and feeling about the Arsenal news. Because listen, we have things to talk about. Yeah, your headlines are rolling down at the bottom. My name is Jessica Black. I'm your host and the president of the Odegaardians. If you know, you know. I'm a massive Odegaard fan. There's actually Odegaard on this shirt. So yeah, not too much on my captain, okay? You guys, I said this yesterday, but I just want to remind you before we get into the mess that the summer watch-along schedule is here. I have tons of watch-alongs available for you guys to hang out. And you guys, all you have to do is click the link in the description. And it'll take you to the TIFO page in which all watch-alongs for She Knows Arsenal is done. We have Brazil, U.S. men's national team versus Brazil tonight. It's actually going to be at 12 a.m. So basically midnight for UK watchers, but it's going to be 4 p.m. for me. We'll start about 15 minutes early today. And so all you have to do is just click the link in the description, use code Jessica to RSVP, and you are good to go. And here are the rest of the watch-alongs that we're going to be doing. It's a mix of Copa America and the Euros, mostly the Euros because that's where the Arsenal players are going to be mostly making their, they're going to be mostly playing in those games. So we have Germany versus Scotland. We have Denmark versus England. We have Argentina versus Canada. We have Ukraine versus Belgium. We have the Brazil versus Colombia. So a lot of games there for us to hang out. How TIFO works and the community, She Knows Arsenal community on TIFO is basically we sit down, we have the game on, we have popcorn, we have drinks, we chill out. And it's just an opportunity with a smaller group of people to kind of like hang out, watch a game, give commentary, but then we also talk about other things like the last time that we did a classic watch along, we talked about transfers and things like that. So if you want a smaller platform, a smaller community in which to, talk to other, SKA members and stuff like that, this is the place to be. So make sure you guys click the link in my description. I'll also drop the link before the show is done in the chat so that you guys can just click it there. But yeah, that is basically what we have going on for the summer beyond, transfer news and things like that. We're going to be watching these games together. And I'm super excited about it because, listen, I love international football when it means something, not Nations League and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I know that means something, but like when it actually like the chips are on the line and there's a trophy to be had, I am sat. Okay. So I'm excited about Copa America. I'm excited. I was writing down all the things that are coming this summer. Arsenal women are going to be in America for preseason, as well as Chelsea women. They're going to be playing against the Washington Spirit. So yeah, your girl's going to be everywhere, here, there, and everywhere. And also here on YouTube and on TIFO to hang out with you guys. So let's see who's all in here. Chris Frazier says goalkeepers and strikers, Mikel's kryptonite. MM says peace. Does that mean you're leaving? You're coming? Are you going? What's going on? Gerald says hello, greetings from Nairobi. Greetings to you as well. Troy says big up, Jez. Big up to you as well. Dao says, as a Madrid fan, I really don't want to lose Lunin. He is so class. We're going to talk about Lunin, David Raya, and Arteta's obsession with goalkeeper. We're going to talk about it. No big deal. Matt G says, another one. We are buying all of the keepers. Let's see. Clement says, U.S. men's national team versus Brazil at 6 p.m. Central Time for me. So I expect to see you in the watch along because it's not going to be too late for all of you guys. Listen, I'm not going to shame you guys if you want to be asleep at, before midnight tonight. I get it. I can't shame you because I'm usually in bed by like 9 o'clock. But listen, if you're up, I would come on through. The U.S. men's national team, if you don't like U.S., people, because we said soccer once, have a seat because we'll probably get absolutely annihilated by Brazil. And anytime I have an opportunity to watch Vinny Jr., I'm going to watch. Martinelli also may feature in this game. And so, come on through. We're going to be having a good time. And Justa J says, what is going on with the ACLs in the women's game? Hopefully Pelova recovers well. For those of you guys who are not aware, Victoria Pelova has sustained an ACL rupture. She was in international duty for the Netherlands, and it's just another Weinrother is just now coming back from an ACL. We know Leah Williamson came back from an ACL. And now we have another player going out. And if you are not, familiar with Victoria Pelova, if Arsene would love a player, he would love Victoria Pelova because she is that attacking mid, creative, likes to get in and amongst the goals, knows how to pick a pass, like that type of player. She's so talented. She had an amazing season for Arsenal women, which admittedly was a down season for the club, but for some individual players like Victoria Pelova, it was a really good season for her. And so it is devastating to see that she's going to be out for probably an entire season. And so thoughts are out to her, but like genuinely, the ACL situation for in the women's game is crazy. And we know that I think it's Nike that has like taken on the responsibility of trying to figure out, what's going on and to do the testing and, figure it out from like a doctor's point of view and stuff like that, getting the best and brightest, involved in this, trying to figure out why women are sustaining so many more like ACL, like also the men are also suffering quite a bit from this, but with the women, it's at like a really like frequent rate, so hopefully we figure that out. But in terms of Victoria Pelova, this is a really some devastating news. So yeah. Let's see. Boy says, meh, we're gonna sign Onana. It's manifesting. I don't think we're gonna sign. I mean, unless David Ornstein is just like wrong. He already said that he's not on the agenda for this summer. So hopefully that maintains that keeps being the case, because nobody wants Onana less than me. Like, yeah. Stay by Soul says, hi Jess, new subscriber here. Well, welcome to the mess. Yeah, make sure you like the video and also join the TIFO channel as well if you like watch-alongs, because we're going to be doing a ton of those over the summer. Yeah, so let's go ahead and I'm going to take this out. And then every time I turn on the lights, I just get like so hot, and it's also like summertime here. So don't mind the glisten. Let's just pretend I wanted it to be like that. But on today's show, we're going to be talking about Arteta's obsession with goalkeepers, David Raya's permanent move is going to be formalized, soon. And I think we all knew that. We were having these weird, like these conversations, almost like, go to sleep. We were having these like conversations during the season about like whether we would make it permanent or not. I think most of us already understanding that it would become permanent whether we liked it or not. And so it was a good thing seeing, David Raya come into his own throughout the season, winning the Golden Glove, like being I think a big part of the solidity back there. I know that, there's different schools of thought on the goalkeeper situation. Like, was he just being protected by a good defense, or was he actually good? I feel like he was just really good. And yeah, no, he's not getting battered by shots, but David Raya, like, keeps things from happening before they happen by being proactive off of his line, collecting crosses. And I think that was his biggest strength, probably, was collecting the crosses and making sure that it didn't become a 50-50 in our box, which I don't think Aaron Ramsdale is the best at. He kind of allows the scramble to happen. And I think David Raya did a good job with that. He saved 3 penalties, 2 of which were in a Champions League knockout round, which I thought was really impressive. And just overall, as a defensive unit, we became stronger once he was involved. And so, yeah, I think he did a really good job. Did he, silence all the doubters? No, because I do think there's a tendency to, when you make a big claim that you don't really like the goalkeeper, or because you like Aaron Moore, you're never going to warm to him, that no matter how well he does, you're going to stick with that because, you don't really want to update your priors, right? Because it's really difficult for people to say they've gotten things wrong. But did he silence all of the doubters? I don't think so. And so now we're seeing Arsenal being linked to goalkeepers again, which I'm going to be really honest with you guys. I don't give a flying flip about the number 2 goalkeeper. I could not care less. It's the last thing on my mind every time people start talking about it and what they would like. I don't care. It could be a stick with, a stick, another 2 sticks attached to it like hands, and like, I don't know, like paddles on it, and just stick him back there, because it's like, this is so far down my priority list. And I know people are like, well, what if Raya gets injured? I'm like, yeah, I mean, we never really thought that way in the past. Like, in the past, it was always like the number 2 was like some old guy that was like solid, or a younger keeper that, is okay with being a number two. But this whole like charade of the goalkeeper conversation needing to be longer than just like get some guy really just is like not, it's just not my cup of tea. I just really don't care. And we had kind of spoken about this during the season, that as much as I do feel like the goalkeeper conversation needed to be had, and that we needed to upgrade our goalkeeper, I didn't feel like it needed to be last summer, and I didn't feel like it needed to happen the way that it happened. I think it created unnecessary stress and confusion and an unnecessary wrinkle in a team that was already dealing with multiple wrinkles in multiple positions. We were already having issues in midfield. We were already having issues up front. And so we added that additional level of pressure and media nonsense and, with the Ramsdale versus Raya thing. And I just feel like if you weren't able to move Ramsdale on in the same summer, then you shouldn't have done it, because we could have addressed this summer. Now, some people will say like, well, we wouldn't have improved as much. And I'm like, well, I mean, we've improved and we still didn't win the league, So was signing the goalkeeper so important that it was the difference between us winning the league and not? No, because we still didn't win the league. So it could have been pushed to this summer. Raya probably would have still been there this summer, and Andriy Lunin would have been available this summer potentially. So it just wasn't something that had to happen. And so this like desperation for the goalkeeper situation to be such a big thing, if it's not Allison, does it really matter? I guess that would be my thing, is like, does it have to be done? Did it need to be addressed? Absolutely. Is Raya better than Ramsdale? In my mind, yes, he is. But did it was it that deep, Mikkel? No, I don't think so. So this whole thing with Andriy Lunin, and you guys, the headline is basically that Arsenal have, made contact with Real Madrid for Andriy Lunin. His relationship with Ancelotti is not good, and I would imagine like I would not be happy with Ancelotti if I came in when Courtois got injured. Remember, Courtois sustained an ACL tear early last season. I don't even think he played a game in the actual season, to be honest. And Lunin came in and did all the work, only for Courtois to come in and play the final. And is like, well, hello. Now I think there's also like a little bit of like Lunin having some illness as well. So I don't know. I have to look at their roster for the Champions League final, because I remember reading something that he may or may not have come to England because of some illness. But yeah, I'd be pissed. I'd be pissed if I did all the work and then all of a sudden this guy comes in and it's like, I get it's Courtois, but like, listen, I did all the work. Like, so I think he would want to leave and become a number one somewhere. Why that would make sense to come to Arsenal, it wouldn't, unless we're really going to double down on this like number one. I never bought into it. I never bought into it. I felt like it was some sort of like charade for it not to look bad that Mikel wanted to do this two goalkeeper thing. But yeah, it seems like maybe we're looking for another goalkeeper and it's not just going to be some guy, and that irritates me just a little bit, because it's like, do we need more confusion? Probably not. Probably not. So, yeah, what are your guys' thoughts? Sorry, we're having a little. My God. And then you're always on my lap when this happens. So it's like, it really is like starting to get to me. Oh my God. I just don't get it. And I did all of that to get my computer to charge, and it's still not charging. And I'm afraid to even touch this at all because every time I do, everything just like turns off, which is like super strange. So I'm going to try it because I need my computer to be charging like while I do this, or else this is going to be a short fucking stream. So let's see if we can just get the computer to charge while. Okay, we got it. We got it. Listen, like it's crazy because here's like, okay, sidebar is there's like a lot of shit going on here. It looks like it's just like a camera, but it's like literally not. Like camera, dummy battery, thing connected to another thing, connected to another thing, connected to another thing, connected to my computer. And ever since I switched to a more expensive, like a more expensive, I can't even show it to you, but it's like where it hooks into my laptop and then you can connect like your camera and everything else, your mic and all of that. Ever since I connected to like a more expensive one, everything's went to shit. And I'm just like, where's my cheap one? When I had my cheap one, nothing went wrong. Nothing went wrong. It always worked. The more expensive one, if I touch it, if I sneeze on it, if I look at it, all of a sudden it's like whatever. Troy said in getting a PC, I am getting a PC. I had to wait until my next, like obviously I like work and stuff. I had to wait for like, because I moved. And then so like obviously with moving, there's a lot of expenses. And so the first thing on my list when my next invoice is paid is a PC. I'm getting a PC because I'm tired. I'm tired. Like literally, I just need my shit to work. But you guys don't care about that. You guys don't care about that. But back to what I was saying. Um, smash the likes. But yeah, I want to know what you guys think about, this whole goalkeeper situation thing because as much as I want like in an ideal world, I'd want two world-class goalkeepers. But I don't care enough about it. Like I really don't. I think there are very few Allisons out there. And so I kind of accept that whatever goalkeeper we have is probably not going to carry that same, like, all aroundness, special, world class, like one of a kind type thing. Like they don't really fall, like they don't really grow on trees like that. And so I know Raya has some shortcomings, probably because he is shorter, that a lot of Arsenal fans are just not going to take to. But I do think he's a really good goalkeeper. And so we should just keep him as the number one and just kind of make goalkeeper not a big deal next season. Buy whoever, Bijlow, I don't care, Steele, just get someone that's okay with being a number two and just move on. Cause like even being linked to Lunin just makes me think that like we're on nonsense. Genuinely. Cause I'm like, are we going to double down on this two number ones? Or are we just going to like, because we genuinely have so many other things we need to be worried about. Like from the back forward, it's like the closer forward you get, the more important it becomes. The further back you get, the less important it is. Like, we don't need to make the goalkeeper situation another circus, but that's just me. Um, that's just me. But Big Smoke, thank you so much for your super chat. Says, do you think Xavi Simmons, Rice, and Odegaard 10 would work? Um, in one way I could like listen. I think the more talented players you have in your team, the better. And so Xavi Simmons being really talented, I think that midfield would be just fine. Do I think it's the best or the most balanced? No. Um, but would it work? Yeah. I think um the way that we play would suit more of like the Bruno Guimaraes, Douglas Luiz type player. But if you just throw really talented players out there on the pitch, unless you're Southgate, it's just probably going to work. So I think it could work. And, I could see a world where, Arsenal go for more of like a Xavi Simmons, Musiala, those types, and put them in the 8 role and make Declan Rice just the number 6. But the dynamics of the team would have to be a lot different. I think Arteta would have to be a little bit more adventurous in the way that we play. We couldn't be as stiff as we are now. There'd need to be a little bit more like throwing players forward and being a little bit more connected. And because that's the only way that those types of players flourish is when you have a bunch of attacking mids out there. They need to be able to rotate and create combinations and overloads and things like that. And the way that we play right now, it's just easier almost like a double pivot and Odegaard just playing the number 10 because it's just easier. So of course, I think that Xavi Simmons or an Eze or a Musiala in that left 8 would work, because they're talented and it would just work because they're good. But is it the best balance? Probably not. That being said, Xavi Simmons is probably not gonna leave, or go anywhere. So yeah. Theo says, based on the way that Ramsdale played when Raya wasn't available, the fact that we missed out on the title by 2 points, I say yes, it was that deep. I don't know. To be honest, like I think had we had a more balanced midfield from the beginning of the season, we would have won the league. I think that was a bigger problem than Ramsdale coming in for 2 games where we still won. When he came in again for all 3 Brentford games, we won all 3 of those games. So we didn't actually drop any points because Ramsdale was between the sticks. We beat Brentford at home, we beat them away, and we beat them in the cup. Those are the 3 games that he played. Now, at the beginning of the season, I don't think he was the main fault of the Fulham game, which I think is the only game that we dropped points pre-Raya. And to be honest, yeah, he probably could have saved that goal. But the confusion of the system is the reason why Saka's passing it back to Partey, and Partey is not anywhere to be found at right back. So he didn't know where to be. Then you had Saliba and Ben White, who had never played with each other before, trying to figure out center back dynamics in a game where Fulham were acting like it was their cup final. Like, I've never seen Fulham play so hard in their lives. So, I mean, you could just say it was because of the goalkeeper situation. And if we had had Raya in there instead of Ramsdale, we would have beat Fulham. But when Raya was between the sticks, we still didn't beat Fulham. We didn't beat them away. So to me, it was more the midfield dynamics than anything that cost us the league. Like, having that lack of balance, like the moment that we switched to Jorginho, Rice, and Havertz went up front, we played so much better. So Raya did make a difference. Defensively, overall, we were just better this season. But those first couple of games where, it was Ben White and Saliba, and then the midfield was kind of looking rank, and you had Eddie Nketiah starting games for Arsenal Football Club. It was just wild, So I don't know if it was just Ramsdale that was the reason, to be honest. So, yeah. Des Moran says, Raya is the best keeper we had since Jens Lehmann. No arguments from anyone, please. But a professional organization needs a quality backup, and Ramsdale is rightly not willing. So we need to go to the market. It's like, yeah, quality backup. I'm being very dramatic about it. Like, obviously, I don't want just like Runnerson back there, but I also don't want it to be a circus like it was at the beginning of the season. Personally, Kai and Ramsdale versus Raya were some of the longest, most drawn out debates last season. Like, we talked about it every single show. It was topic of conversation. It was people were having like conniptions about this shit. I want to, like, at the beginning of next season, I want to be talking about, oh my gosh, when are we going to see Nawari? Oh my gosh, look at this great new midfielder we have. Isn't this great? Like, I really don't want to be talking about Raya Ramsdale again, and I do feel like bringing in another number one goalkeeper and expecting them to fight it out with Raya is only going to start the nonsense. So yeah, like that's just kind of how I feel about it. But um, like I just want a number two, you know. And Raya being the best keeper we've had since Jens Lehmann, I can kind of see that, but I also feel like there was a period of time where Leno was really good for us, and I don't want to disrespect him just because we were in the ages. And then from Leno, from the time that he came in to the time that he left, the goalkeeper position changed so much in that time where at the beginning you would have died for a Leno, somebody that was like a really good shot stopper, but it's like the Pepism came in, and then the goalkeeper became more of an outfield player. And then by the time we wanted Leno out, I think we forgot how good he was for us. So I don't want to disrespect Bern. He was a part of the dark ages, but I genuinely do think he was a really good goalkeeper. Raya may end up being the best one since Jens Lehmann, but I do feel like it's a little disrespectful to Bern. But Bern was good until he wasn't, Keenan says, we need a number two like Ortega. If your number one gets injured for a long period, the backup has to maintain the levels to win silverware. Who is that guy, though? Who is that guy? It's not Lunin. It's not Lunin, because Lunin is not leaving Real Madrid to be a number two at Arsenal or to even fight it out. Most goalkeepers are going to do it like an Emmy Martinez. They're going to be just like Emmy and say, I'm not doing that. So maybe Steele would be a good option because he's used to having to, do the rotating goalkeeper thing at Brentford, or not Brentford, Brighton. But, I just honestly, I just want it to be incredibly straightforward. Do I want the goalkeeper to be good? Yes. Do I want it? Do I need them to fight it out? No. Yeah, Justin J says I would just get Jason Steele and call it a day. I kind of would too. Mark says we don't know how Lunin is with his feet. Does anybody know how Lunin is with his feet? Did anybody watch Real Madrid this season enough to know? Because I don't think Real Madrid give a shit about that kind of stuff, if I'm honest with you guys. They just play vibes. Be better than everyone else. And our goalkeeper just stops the ball from going in the back of the net. They're so old school and so full of black magic that they don't need jugo de position. They don't need anything but vibes. And no, I'm not saying Ancelotti doesn't have tactics, but I'm not thinking that Lunin is standing in his box doing rondos with, Chouameni, and Ferland Mendy back there. You know what I mean? I don't think that's how they play, but that's just me. Keenan says, what is Lunin's contract? He could leave to get a proper pay rise. I think so. Let me find the actual thingamajiggy. Andriy Lunin is considering his future at Real Madrid. His relationship with Carlo Ancelotti is ran cold. Arsenal is one of the suitors interested in the Ukrainian keeper. I think I saw something like his it runs out in 2026 or something like that, Lunin. So it's time to either re-up or shut up or something. I can only type with one hand because the other one is being held up by the dog. So Andriy Lunin has a contract until June 2025, so it could be a market opportunity at a reasonable cost. He would want to be number one. However, it would be a big decision from Arsenal. He's a brilliant goalkeeper, says Eduardo Hagen. So yeah, and then so I'm seeing this too, like on May 13th, so like just like a month ago, it said that he had agreed to sign a contract until 2029. So what I'm going to say about this is I think a lot of this is contract talks. Um, he does not know if he will continue on at Real Madrid. He has an offer to renew his contract at the club, which expires in 2025 until 2029, but also has offers from other European clubs, including Arsenal. So, um, yeah, this feels weird. Kepa set to leave Real Madrid. So yeah, he has his current contract ends in 2025, but he has an offer from Real Madrid to extend it until 2029. He knows he's going to be a number 2 at Real Madrid. I think he can sense that Courtois is not going anywhere. Courtois could stay until he's 45, because goalkeepers they mature later on in their career. And so he's looking at his options. I don't know what his other options are, but Arsenal does not feel like a good place for him to land. If he's looking for a guaranteed number 1 spot, like Raya, we're just spent 27 million on him. It's just not, it just feels very like a market opportunity that, again, and this is why maybe Arsenal shouldn't have been so. And this is the thing is like, I love Raya, just like I love Havertz, but I could see why bringing in both players in different, obviously in different circumstances, but bringing in both players take away opportunities to do things in the next window. And so love Raya, think he's great, but you could have just went with Ramsdale this season, like actually address the things that you needed to address, like left center mid, or even bought another attacker, maybe won the league, who knows, maybe not, maybe still came second, but then you probably would have the option of David Raya or Lunin. And so maybe you could have actually brought in Lunin. So, like Arsenal are either super set on David Raya or not. We don't really know, but yeah, like there's always like opportunity costs and stuff like that. You make a decision and there's always like something else that you could potentially miss out on the other side. And so, yeah, we're in bed with Raya now. I just think we need to just be done with it. Like, let's just be done with it. Sam says, let's hope this Lunin nonsense is a negotiation tactic to get Raya to accept a lower pay on his contract. I think it's more maybe Lunin's agent trying to, drum up some either interest or for him to get a better contract at Real Madrid. I don't know how old he is. Let's look. Because the guy just came out of nowhere. He for people that are like like real like tactical types, like they've known about him forever. So they'll be like, how did you not know about Lunin? But genuinely, I didn't know about him. He's 25, so 2 years younger than Raya, but the same age as Ramsdale. I would say he's a really, really good goalkeeper. I think a lot of people would just say, like, I mean, he's 6'3", which, like, that sound like, honestly, whoever gets him is getting a really good goalkeeper. Like, if I mean, maybe he'll stay for one more year or something like that, but genuinely, if I was him, I'd probably be looking after the season that I had to almost, like, have, like, an Emi Martinez moment where he didn't get the glory at the end because he didn't get to play the final, but he got to show his quality in big matches for the biggest club in the world. And so now everybody would want him, so probably more unfortunate for like Arsenal and Man United, who were like desperate to get in goalkeepers this past summer. And we got good goalkeepers, but now you're probably going to miss out on Lunin. Chelsea are obviously going to be interested in him, right? Because they need a goalkeeper. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But Lunin is the type of goalkeeper where it just gives like old school, really good goalkeeper, the Czech types, the Courtois types, like those types. But we want with something different. So let's see what Arsenal do. But I feel like you made your decision. So yeah. Yeah. Boy says, sign a left-footed forward so that Saka isn't run into the ground. Desmoran says, Lunin is not coming to Arsenal. I don't think so either. Mark says, maybe if Lunin is cheaper, they'll get him over Raya and save the difference for another position. I think Raya is done. I think it's always been done. I don't feel like we'll go back on it. Justa J says Raya was Bayern bound last season. Maybe Arsenal was gearing up for someone like Lunin this summer, but saw Raya available and went for him in the end. Yeah, Otani says Arsenal has gone through Leno, Martinez, Runnerson, Ryan, Ramsdale, Turner, and Raya keep going. I mean, that's a lot of goalkeepers just, in Arteta's time. Arteta got here and he had Martinez and Leno. And then since he's come, he's brought in Runnerson. Ryan was a backup. Ramsdale, Turner, and Raya. That's a lot of goalkeepers to go through and maybe even still feel like, I think from a fan's perspective, I do think there's a section of fans that don't feel like we found the goalkeeper. And so that's a lot, but I want Arsenal to double down on Raya and just do what you need to do. So yeah, let's see. Akin says, agreed. Leno was responsible for keeping Emery in the job for as long as he did. I remember we conceded 30 shots against Watford and walked away with a 1-1. Leno disrespect will not be tolerated. And this is coming from somebody that, wanted, like, Leno, I kind of was like, at the end, I was like, get him out. Like, get him out. But like, he was good for us at a certain point. And it wasn't until I think we figured out that we needed somebody that was better with his feet. Because I remember Leno, he was one of those where his like knees would knock together sometimes when he would try to play out from the back. And I'm like, he's rattled. Like, this is just not like this is not his deal. Like, this is not what he's good at, So it was just time to move him on, but I think he was a good goalkeeper in the end. Lonia says, I like Raya, and the new keeper will be second choice. Let's see. Burmese says Arsenal should have kept Martinez. Nonetheless, Raya is now number 1. So let's get a decent number 2 to complete the team. For people that feel like we should have kept Martinez, do you ever like admit that, or do you ever like remember that Emi Martinez didn't want to stay? Like, I do feel like there's always like this, we should have just kept him. But at the time where all of that was going down, I still feel like people like almost like on purpose forget how things happened, and that Emi Martinez had a good 8 games for Arsenal. It was 8 games. Yes, we won the FA Cup, but it was 8 games. And Leno was the number 1. And so in any normal circumstance, it's very rare. Again, look at Lunin at Real Madrid, that it's very rare that you have a number 1 that gets injured and they don't come back in and maintain their position, even if the other goalkeeper was really good. Nobody could have said at that point when when he helped us with those 8 games, nobody knew that he was going to become a really good goalkeeper for Argentina. Because again, ain't nobody really like checking for Emi Martinez when he's playing for Aston Villa. It's really about what he does for Argentina. He's a World Cup winning goalkeeper. I will not take that away from him. But at that time, when we were looking at having both Emi and Leno, what was offered to Emi was the opportunity to try to unseat Leno. We're not just going to give you the spot. Leno is the number 1. He was injured. It wasn't like Emi Martinez came in, like he wasn't doing anything in training or anything like that to make it, it was very much so Leno got injured. And so he's going to maintain the number 1 spot because that's what would happen at any club. That would have happened at any club. And he did not want to wait. He didn't want to have to fight for a position. He didn't want to have to beat Leno out when Leno was actually not sitting on a medical table, so just keep him takes away from any of the conversation around Emi Martinez just didn't want to be at Arsenal bad enough. And I think you have to think that like Arsenal deserve to have players that are desperate to play for Arsenal, so they're willing to kind of work for their spot, especially because it was just 8 games. It literally was. It was not that long. Like 8 games is not a long time, so I don't know if it was just keep him there's a lot of context that's always removed because it's like people are still mad about Emmy Martinez. And I'm just like, for me, and I'm not saying you're mad about it because you seem like you're over it, but I do feel like there's like the removal of context gives that like we should have just kept him, and it's like, yeah, well, maybe he should have just like actually wanted to fight for his position. It was like quite literally like 8 games. Um, so yeah. Keenan says, I knew Emmy was world class at Arsenal. Emmy didn't want to stay. He wanted guaranteed starting spot. It's not that deep. You knew. Sure. Sure you knew. Nobody was checking for Martinez like before those games. Everybody was shocked at how good he was, I remember. So yeah. Let's see. Boy says Raya was given the spot. Otani says no fans could have, but the coaching staff who dealt with him daily should have seen Emmy's talent. Fair enough, but we weren't in the training sessions. And like again, this is somebody who performs really well for Argentina, but ain't nobody checking for Emmy in the Premier League. Like he's never really considered one of the better goalkeepers. He sometimes gets put in the conversations because he has won the World Cup for Argentina, but everybody that won that World Cup for Argentina somehow got put in a world-class bracket. And since then, we've been taking them out of that category one by one, So listen, like I understand that it's like hindsight is always 2020. It's like, well, we should have kept him because look at what he's become. But Emmy Martinez was here even when Arsene was here. And if Arsene and his staff missed out on it, and Emery and his staff missed out on it, and Arteta and his staff missed out on it, maybe it's just the case that like it took those 8 games for people to really see what he could do in actual game state, maybe. Because again, like nobody was checking for Emmy. Like quite literally, nobody was checking for him. So yeah. But I get it. It's like anybody who left was the reason. Anybody who left was the reason. And for the people that are in the comments that are like, listen, we haven't won anything since Emmy left the club. I mean, again, I watched that game. We've actually rewatched it on our first classic rewatch was the 2020 FA Cup final. And when I tell you we were diabolically bad, we were so bad. Like it really was giving the FA Cup that Manchester United just won. They are not good. They are not a good team. And they mostly won because Man City were not good. And they made big mistakes, and Manchester United, they deserved to win it because they scored more goals than Manchester City, but we all watched the games with our eyes. And so Arsenal not winning anything since Emmy hasn't been there doesn't make me feel like we should have kept then why not just keep all the team? Like, why did we change any of the team? If that team was so good, they won an FA Cup. And like, basically what you're trying to say is like those players were better than what we have. And Arteta hasn't been able to win anything with what he has now. But we all know that this team is better than that team. So like, what are we really saying? It's like, but we haven't won anything since then. It's like, but do you want those players genuinely? Go back and watch that game. Be real with yourself. Like, be real with yourself for 5 seconds. That team was bad. It was. We won that FA Cup because we deserved to, but we all know there's a little bit of luck in cups. We know that. Like, we got a lot of luck in that cup. So yeah, that's all I'm saying. But yeah, I think Lunin, good goalkeeper. Probably let's say we didn't buy Raya, right? Or Raya wasn't in the team. And Ramsdale had done this past season, and we're looking to bring in somebody new. If I had the option between David Raya and Andriy Lunin based on let's say David Raya had a really good season at Brentford again, I'd probably pick Lunin now based on what I've seen at Real Madrid, the little bit that I've seen, and just the general, I would prefer my goalkeeper to be at least 6'2", 6'3", so I would probably pick Lunin now, but I've seen David Raya with the team. He works really good with us. I think he grew really nicely into what we're trying to do. And so I'm happy with Raya. Like, I genuinely am happy with Raya. I always said that he had the things that Ramsdale doesn't have, and those things are the reason why we concede such silly fucking goals sometimes. And I think the difference in our defensive record really shows that, like, all of that really came to fruition. But like, the number 2 can genuinely just be like a really solid goalkeeper. And I would be very happy with that. Very happy with that. Let's see. Boy says, watch the whole season, observe how poor the back line responds to Leno, and compare with Martinez. It's night and day. That is a poor back line for the pair of them. So it's even. It is what it is. Keenan says Raya is the best option available in the market. I just hope we aren't going to pivot to Lunin because he would be a massive drop in quality. I don't actually think we're considering doing something different. Like, it's always been stated that we were like Raya was going to become permanent. So to be honest, if that happened, I would be very disappointed because I would think that Arsenal don't stand on business. They don't stand on business. I know some people would applaud it, but I would be like, why did we do all this then? Why did we do all this? Why did we disrupt the beginning of our season for this? Like, I wouldn't understand it. So double down on Raya, stand on business, make him permanent, and let's just move on from the goalkeeper situation. If Raya can improve from Dubai on, I would love to see how much better he would be from the beginning of the season. I think he really grew into it nicely. I really like David Raya a lot. Just like I really like Kai. Two things can be true at the same time, that you really like these players and you would keep them, and you can't imagine Arsenal without them now. But there are other players out there that I probably would prefer, just off of like my personal preferences. But my personal preferences don't matter. What's best for Arsenal is what's best for Arsenal. Like, my personal preferences would have Jack Wilshere running around on the pitch right now. So yeah. Mark says there's every chance Ramsdale stays if Arsenal don't get the number they're looking for. I can see that too. I can see that too. That Ramsdale could stay. Do I think that would be the best for us? I mean, some people would be like crying to the gods because they just love Aaron so much, not because of his footballing ability, but because he's like a nice lad. But like, I don't want to hear Raya Ramsdale nonsense, because it's going to kick up. And the minute that a goal goes in, bring Ramsdale back in, because they can't let it. I just feel like you need a new, fresh number 2 that we know is a number 2, and that we could just like rid ourselves of all of that, because it's just annoying. So yeah. Let's see. Sam says Ramsdale was worth 65 million last year, and now we are selling him for 15. Something is wrong with that club. There was never a second where Ramsdale was worth 65 million. Where'd you get that number from? Where did you get that number from? How did we get from us buying him for 22 million or 25 million, somewhere between there, to him being worth 65 million? The most, like, what is the biggest goalkeeper sale? Like, was it the one that Kepa? Was it not? No way we're thinking 65 million, because I feel like the biggest goalkeeper sale was less than that. Let's see. Biggest goalkeeper sale. Ten most expensive goalkeepers. No, let's go. The top 10 most expensive goalkeeper transfers of all time. Here we go. Aaron Ramsdale, 24 million from Sheffield to Arsenal. Jordan Pickford from Sunderland to Everton for 25 million. Somebody else who doesn't matter. Manuel Neuer for 30 million. Or no, sorry. Let's do the pounds. 26 million pounds. Jasper Cillesen from Barcelona to Valencia for £31 million. Ederson from Benfica to Manchester City for £35 million. Thibaut Courtois from Chelsea to Real Madrid for £35 million. Gianluigi Buffon from Parma to Juventus for £33 million. Alisson from Roma to Liverpool for, okay, so £67 million. So keep that in your head. Keep that in your head for 1 second. That's the second. And Kepa is Bilbao to Chelsea for £72.5 million. Where on earth are we getting £65 million for Aaron Ramsdale? Where are we getting it from? Alisson, 67 million in 2018. Like, there's just no way that anybody said that he was worth 65 million. There was never a time where it was 65 million. It was probably somewhere closer to like 40, really, like 40. We'll still get less than that. Like, if we get what we paid for Ramsdale, I'd be very surprised. If we got 30, I'd be happy, because I know that would have been like some really hard work. But 40 is probably aboutish the highest he got to when he looked good, not last season, but the season prior. Because Aaron Ramsdale had one really good season for Arsenal. And it wasn't this season or the season prior, the season that we won the league, or we were our first title challenging season. It was the season prior. The first season was his really good season. So yeah, 40 million is probably, but like 65 million, where we get that from? Hello, he was never valued that much. He was never, like, come on. Like, he's never, and again, like, those values are always inflated, and like, come on, let's be serious for 5 seconds. FL Man Gunnar says Keenan spot on with 35 million. Keenan says if we get 35 million for Ramsdale, it's a celebration. Yeah, I said 30, but like anywhere 30, 35, I'd be like, wow, we actually made a profit on him. Like, there's just no way we're gonna get that much. We're not a good selling team. And like, I know somebody did a really good breakdown on it on Twitter. If I find it, we can talk about it on like another show, because I think it was Ben Madison maybe, or Chemo, one of those, but or Camo, but they did a really good breakdown on like why we sell what we sell, like what's the reason for it. And the biggest like reason why we don't sell well is because of the wages that we give to our players. And once they're over a certain age and their wages are a certain like height or certain expense, they become very unmovable. But like recently, we haven't been giving very old players big contracts. Like when you think about like even like Jorginho and Trossi, they're on like 100 something, which is a lot, but it's not when you consider like what we were giving like Mustafi and those guys who were like bums, So I think it's a real test, because we've given some average-ish guys that are not that old good money, and how we're going to sell them on, I don't know. So we'll see how it goes, but I do think that 30 would be good for Ramsdale, if we're honest. There's 445 of you guys in here. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel. And also, let's go through some of these headlines. Some of the other stories that we won't get a chance to get into, but are still happening. Arsenal are completing formal documents for David Raya's permanent move from Brentford. That came from Fabrizio Romano this morning. Arsenal are currently leading the race to sign Ryan McAdo, a 2008-born talented forward. He's expecting to leave Chelsea this summer. People are saying that this could be Cheeto Obi Martin's replacement. So we will see about that. And I also have a little, actually, no, we'll wait on that. But Arsenal are interested in sporting CP winger and former Spurs youngster Marcus Edwards. We've seen him up close and personal against Arsenal in the Europa League. Good player, not sure really, but I have a little feeling on, like, you know how you get a feeling on like a player you're not really linked to yet, but you have a feeling that there's something happening behind the scenes. I have it, but we're going to talk about it. Remind me in about 10 minutes to let you guys know who it was, who I think we're looking at. Arsenal midfielder Victoria Pelova has suffered a ruptured ACL on her international duty with the Netherlands. Really unfortunate news. Arsenal have made an approach for Andriy Lunin, which is what we've been talking about. Aiden Heaven hoping for his first team involvement in preseason. That's coming from Ars blog. I actually have a little clip of him that I'll play in a second. And Arsenal have told Alexander Zinchenko and Kieran Tierney that they are free to leave the club, and Kivior is set to stay, which probably makes the most sense because Kivior can actually play center back, and we need like maybe cover for Gabriel. When he'll get those minutes, I don't know. It doesn't feel like we spoke on this like a couple of days ago, that it doesn't feel like Arteta trusts Kivior that much, but it is what it is. So let's actually look at a video of Heaven. Great name, by the way. Aiden Heaven is a fabulous name. Like with a name like that, you better be a freaking baller. So this is Aiden, and this is I think he's a defender. And so maybe he'll get some time in preseason, which would be nice. That's why sometimes I do really like preseason, because you get to see like even youngsters you haven't seen before. I think we didn't get to see that many of them this past preseason. Hopefully we'll get to see a few more, including Nweri. So here's a little clip of him.
Yo, hey.
I was like, he's a defender? So I don't get copyright. He's a defender. Like, what? I would love to see him in preseason. Look at that. Are we serious? Like, he's a defender? He looks like Vieira out there. He looks like Patty out there, does he not? So yeah, like he may get maybe some preseason minutes. Ars blog had written something about it, so if you guys want to go get some more information on Aiden Heaven, feel free to do that. Yeah, feel free to do that there. Keenan is saying Hagen saying we have made an initial contact with Osimhen. I'll be honest, don't really believe that. I think he's looking for a move, and so he's like, ooh, that's spicy. But yeah, I don't actually think that's like, I just don't see it. But I mean, I don't think Arsenal will go for a striker. I just don't see it from what we've been told, what we've seen. So let's see how things unfold. If anybody of any sort of like real credibility starts saying something, then maybe I'll start to believe it. Osimhen is not doing anything this summer, right? I mean, no AFCON, so it's like, you could sign him, I guess, Real Madrid are interested in and have asked about the conditions to sign Christian Romero. I'm not going to lie. I would eat that up. Your, best center back in the world dumping you to go do something fun, like play for the best team in the world, would be great. Amazing ba'a. Just checking to see if anything else has happened. So I see a little video of Gabriel Jesus doing some rehab. I think he should get the surgery. It doesn't look like he is, which is annoying. But we'll see. What was I gonna? Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Zahid says Rudiger and Romero is gonna kill the striker. Boy says, so when he's gone, I expect him to be fake gone. What are we talking about? Zahid says he is a midfielder who played in defense to raise his defensive awareness. Keenan says, was gonna say he looked like Vieira, looked like he's still growing. MM says, why is a defender dribbling? Isn't he should be a midfielder? He looked like Vieira. Like, that's who I thought I was looking at. Like, listen. I just want to see like some more vibes during preseason. Like, who cares? Like, I'm gonna be at the game at SoFi. So if any of you guys are going, let me know. And I'd love to like say hello and stuff like that. But okay, so the player that I feel like, okay, so don't hate me when I say this. Like, I'm gonna say this and like get out of here so you guys don't kill me. But like, um, the player that I feel like we might be looking at, y'all are gonna hate me when I say this because you gotta be like, no. I think on the low ski, on the lowest low, hear me out. That I think we might be looking at is Jared Bowen. Now, wait, hold me out. Wait. So, West Ham are looking at a couple of different wingers that play on the right-hand side. Kudus is there. They could get a decent fee for Bowen and use that money to reinvest in some other places. They need a striker. They can bring in, I think they're looking at Juventus winger Sule, and they already have Kudus that can play on that side. I think we might be looking at Jared Bowen. Not gonna lie. He's all the things that Arteta likes, and he can't get Pedro Neto because he's a crock. But Jared Bowen is English, Premier League proven winger. Don't kill the messenger. Don't kill the messenger. And I know, like, when we were linked to him before, a couple of summers before, but he had signed a new deal. He was signing a new contract with West Ham. From a West Ham perspective, if you had one player that you could cash in on and be able to reinvest into other positions that you need to, he's probably the one. You're not going to want to get rid of Kudus, but Kudus could also play on that side at right wing. He plays, midfield too. You have to figure out what you're going to do about Paquetá. You're not going to get any money from him, but he's going to be banned. You need a striker. And so, I could see them asking for 65 million for him, maybe even a little bit more. And I could see multiple teams being interested, Arsenal being one of them. I think Newcastle would be interested. I think we would be interested. He's just like, it just gives Arteta signing. It just does. Like, English Premier League proven. We need right-handed depth, and he could actually just step in and it would just work. I rate Bowen and would have him at Arsenal. And when we were originally linked to him, I said I would have him. And people were like, what are you saying? And I'm like, I think he's good though. Like, is he not? Like, is there a reason why you wouldn't want him? Like, you think he's not very good? He's a little bit older than the other players that we have, but like older is not always a bad thing. Like, I don't actually think we need more children in the team. I would take younger players that have like elite quality or could potentially become something really special. But like, genuinely, if we were linked to him tomorrow, I'd probably be gassed. I cannot lie. I think Jared Bowen's a really good player. Sue me. I don't care. I think he's really good. So, yeah, but I actually do think that, like, if he were available, which I could see him being available this summer, I would not be surprised if Arsenal were interested, you know? So yeah. Let's go to the comments. Foxy says West Ham just signed a star from Brazil, Luis Guilherme. Is he a fullback? Is he a fullback? Because I thought he was a fullback, but I think they're trying to like retool that right-hand side. And again, like, they're looking at wingers and they could be looking for depth, but I think they could also be looking at like a situation where maybe like he would go. Like, I don't know. But I like him. I like Bowen. Y'all know you cannot make me hate him. You can't. Like, you can't, because historically, Arsenal fans don't like players that don't have exotic, like, they don't like, if they're not like exotic and like, they'd prefer somebody from another, you know, league that has like great YouTube comps, that has like a cool name. They'd rather have that than like Bowen because Bowen's not giving exotic. Like he's giving, pie and mash. He's not giving paella, whatever. But the guy is good. Like he is good. Like I don't see why anybody wouldn't want him other than he's not exotic enough. He scored 16 goals with 6 assists in a dead West Ham team last season. Like y'all want goals and inevitability. He has that. Like if somebody's going to score, it's going to be Bowen. Once we knew that Bowen wasn't going to be playing against Man City, didn't we all feel like it was dead and buried? So all I'm saying is like that this would be a perfect time for them to cash in on him, and I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal were interested. Because he's just the type of player that Arteta would want. He works hard. He's just a really good player. Like he's just a really good player. I don't know what to tell you. But he's not exotic. So he's not exotic. Marco says, "Yeah, I'll sue you, Jess." Does anybody have like a good reason why they don't like Bowen? Like a really good reason, like an actual footballing reason. Can you say with chess that you don't think he's a very good player? Like, where did these goals come from? Did he just pull them out of his ass? Like what? Like what is not good about Bowen, other than he's not exotic? Can anybody like give me a real reason? I want to know because like I'm seeing a lot of no Jess, but like where did these goals come from? If he ain't no good, where did these goals come from? I guess he would be my hear me out. Like he would be my hear me out. He could be a hear me out for me. I'll stand on it. I think he's a good player. Like I think he's one of those types of players that if we didn't sign him and another one of our rivals did and he banged, you guys would be like, why didn't we look at Bowen? And I'd be like, well, y'all didn't want him. He wasn't exotic. So I mean, 16 goals, 6 assists. I mean, like, is that not good enough? Is that not good enough? So yeah. Zahid says, my hear me out is McTominay. Are you being serious or no? Keenan says, if we bought Bowen to play striker, I wouldn't mind. Imran says, Bowen as a starter won't come to be a bench warmer. Kafunso says, what's Bowen going to be like against low blocks? I don't know. Let's find out. Again, people are talking about transitional threats and stuff like that. People talk about like, well, what about Rashford? What about, Leao? What about these players? These players always playing in open space transitional threats. So like we're applying something to Bowen that you wouldn't be applying to other players that don't play in possession-based sides or do you need to poop? Oh my God. You dead inside. Oh God, the fart was outrageous. Beckham, do you need to take a shit? Oh my God. Woo! Awful. It smelled, buddy. It smelled. It did. So yeah. Let's see. I want to go, let's see. Against low blocks. But yeah, do you guys consider other players when we're talking about these low blocks? Because I don't hear people saying it. Brother people. Imran says Bowen is a starter, won't come as a bench warmer. I read that. Boxy says Bowen is a good player. Depends on the price. Really has a crazy long contract. Yeah. So again, like they would be looking at a big fee from probably a team in the top 4. And that would most likely be like us or, I could see like I still could see Newcastle doing something like this. To keep up like the English, vibe, the thread, you already have like Harvey Barnes, you have Anthony Gordon, throw Bowen in there, and it's looking good, so I could see, but Sam, I would never sell my dog. I would never sell my dog. This dog is like he's probably like, oh my gosh, you saved my life. He's like literally saved my life. Like I'm having the time of my life with this dog. I would never sell him, even if his farts are like deadly, like genuinely, I almost died. He's my best friend though. I love him so much. Concrete Jungle says, I'm glad with anyone as long as it improves Arsenal. Glad I'm not United fans. They're having meltdowns now. Ten Hag in, baby. Let's keep it going. Keenan says, I would much rather use Bowen fee for Brahim Diaz. I think he would be more impactful in our system. if he was available, I still think like getting any player, even if they feel like they're not going to get a lot of playing time because Mbappe is there, I think you still find it very difficult to convince them to leave. I just feel like once they get there, unless they are just like totally ostracized, it's going to be really hard to get them out. So like, yeah, like if Brahim Diaz was available, then you would go after somebody like him. But if he's not, you have to look at somebody else. And again, Arteta tends to like Premier League proven players. Especially like if you're going to move on Reece and Nketiah, you have to figure out a way to get more homegrown players in. And so I do think that will be a factor in who Arsenal do bring in. So yeah, I think, if those players are available, then you go after them. But I still feel like it's going to be really hard to prize some of them away, even if they know they'll only get 2 or 3 minutes. It's Real Madrid at the end of the day. Denzel says, we need a new center back. William Saliba can't have another season of playing every single game. Yeah, I mean, Tommy and both, like Tommy, Kivior, Ben White can all play in those positions. Like, I would love to get Diamande. I know a lot of people are talking about Diamande. Diamande is the guy. You guys know I rate Diamande. I just feel like right now we need a left back. If we let Zinchenko and Kieran Tierney go, then you would need a left back. And personally, let Kivior play his rightful position, stop Tommy from doing shuttle runs up and down the sideline, and bring in a left back, and I'd probably be okay with that. But I understand like the worry about Saliba. He played every single minute this season in the Premier League. And so we need to get him a backup. But, in one of those positions at the back, we're not going to address one of them. We're either not going to address left back or we're not going to address center back. And I'm leaning more towards left back needing to be addressed. But I know some people are like I think it's like the trauma of losing him during the run-in. So I get that. I totally get that. 100%. MM says, I saw a link to a left back from Breast Stats Are Good. I saw that too. Let me pull up the bookmark now. You guys don't like my Jared Bowen take. You guys are haters, man. Arsenal plan to recruit a new left back this summer, and TBR Football understands that the club are now considering Breast's left back, I guess, Bradley Loco 22. Cool last name. I'm into it. I've never seen this boy play a single game, but let's look at his stats. I need you to stay asleep, honey. Oh, I'm not done with my stream yet. All right. French, obviously. Left 5'11", which is cool. Like, again, I don't want us to lose all of our height, right? Similar players are Semedo and Hector Bellerin, which is hilarious. But let's see, what is he good at? Successful take-ons are really good. His tackles are high. His interceptions are high. So he plays for a team that defends, and when he defends well. Pass completion is really good. Yeah, like he looks like a decent fullback from like just looking at like his overall stats, like quickly. He has 3 assists, so not really getting into the final third a lot, but it's fine. Especially because you look at like his progressive passes received, it's pretty average. So he's not really getting forward that much in receiving the ball. Like he's not like a full on like go. But he defends well. I don't honestly, I would take one of these under the radar type, signings for left back. Like I think these can be some of the best signings, the ones that are like, especially from the French league. Like if there's something you should buy from the French league, I feel like it's DMs, center backs, defenders. Like that's where you get them from. They rarely flop in the Premier League. The defenders, they rarely flop. They usually have the physicality and all that kind of stuff. I think there's good players in Ligue 1 that you can get. Now going further forward, probably stay away from that a little bit more, but like genuinely like midfielders, defenders, Ligue 1 is the place to get them from. in my opinion. So bring, like, I don't know you, but solve left back, get a specialist. I'm tired. The merry-go-round is not for me. I'm sick. Like, I cannot do it. Justa J says, I want to sign Dan Burn, Onana, and Beghorst. Justa J, call Arteta and make it happen. I know you're being a little funny because I said Jared Bowen, but like, y'all just don't know. Y'all just don't know. I want a player that's like really, really good at just like scoring goals and like being inevitable. Jared Bowen is inevitable. Like everybody had him in the FPL because they knew that he was going to score. So you can talk about Onana and Dan Burn and Beghorst all you want. I know what I'm talking about. Oh, you're trying to see NBA football, so you want to see the tallest team possible. Fair enough. Can they actually be good though? You know, just asking. Keenan says Loco. I'm calling him Loco because, like, listen, Loco, that's crazy. Loco is raw, but he reads the game really well. Chris says, with League on TV deal in the shitter, there could be deals to be had in France this summer. Bring Awar. No, where is Awar? Y'all remember Awar? Like, genuinely, that's probably the funniest transfer saga that we've had in a long time. Like, the Declan Rice one was not fun at all. There was no giggles, there was no laughs, there was nothing, anything. It was just stress and tomfoolery the entire time. It was just absolute crap. But he's at Roma. Thank you, Zahid. But Awar was genuinely hilarious. Genuinely hilarious. His like him saying that he wants to be just like Zinedine Zidane and play for either Juventus or Real Madrid, and he doesn't really want to come to Arsenal. You know, we're having to convince him. His brother is asking for brown envelopes under the table. A loss is acting a fool in you know the media every 5 seconds talking about Arsenal and how we don't have money and stuff, just for that guy to end up being a bum. Like that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. That's like my favorite saga. And then the Santee Instagram post, I think it was, where it was like, I don't know why Arsenal posted it. It was so strange, and everybody thought it was like a transfer message for Awar and Partey. Oh my gosh, peak. Hilarious. Great times. I loved it. That is when I just as I also think as I wasn't doing YouTube, so I just genuinely just enjoyed it more. Now that I'm doing YouTube and I have to like actually like talk about this stuff more, it's a lot like less fun, but that was fun. That was fun. I loved it. Otani says need one of those Feyenoord left backs, Quidditch or Garudia. What are these names? Genuinely, how do you freaking pronounce this? Clincy or Gertrudia? I'm done. I'm gonna cry. That's so funny. No, but like genuinely, like we've been linked to both of these. Hartman is actually a left back, so he would actually be what we need. But Gertrudia, Gertruida doesn't because he's a right back. Gertruda, and Kilinchi, and Gertruda. Okay, got it. Hartman, isn't he injured? So no, but yeah. Let when you first see this name, unless you have heard his name, because I've never heard his name be spoken, you know. So it's like, yeah, if I had heard it my whole life, like there are names that like I had never seen before, but I know them because I've seen the player and I've heard like the announcer say his name. I've never heard this name before. So if I just seen it off the street for the first time, I'm not able to say that right away. Y'all are not gonna make me feel bad about that name. That name is hard. Like when you first look at it, it's looking like any old thing. Like it really is. But he's injured as far as I know. So even if we are interested, I don't know if he's somebody that we would get. And the other one is like a right back. So Denzel says, I'm more concerned about the midfield than a striker, if I'm being honest. We're just divulging. Like, last 20 minutes, we really have just been talking about absolutely nothing. But welcome. Foxy says, apart from Patrick Dorgu, I don't see any real standout prospects at left back in Europe at the moment. Loco has looked good at times, but nothing spectacular. I've heard Dorgu a lot. From the clips I saw, I thought he looked really good. Just bring somebody that's a left back specialist that has the athleticism to keep up with and the 1v1 defensive abilities against some of the better players in Europe. And I'm kind of good to go. So yeah. Javi says 24 Awar Partey people. Marco says, I don't remember the Ruben Diaz, Leroy Sané, KDB signings for City making a lot of noise back then, but they cost City a lot and they were done early. Could we do the same? I mean, they've already said we're not making any early signings. So I think the early signings are out the question or out the window. But, it's not, to me, it's not really about names. Like, when I say like special players or bringing in like elite, like top quality players, or like either players that are already elite or players that have like that elite, like potential, excuse me, that's what I want. That's all I want. Like, they don't have to have names. They could be, you know, Osimhen, maybe, I don't know. They could be Xavi Simmons or they could be Jared Bowen. I don't care. As long as they play well, I don't care. And fill the needs. I just don't. I think Arsenal are kind of do a lot of obvious signings and strange signings. Like obvious signings they do, but when's the last time I guess maybe like Fabio Vieira could have been one of those for us, but it just hasn't really worked out. But like just an out of the blue, really talented, right on the cusp of like, not too old, but not too young either. Um, you know, we kind of tried to do that, but I think that's why we really stick with the prem proven, because there's something about those players that aren't quite in 11, that aren't really that established, that come from other leagues. We struggle to get them adapted. So yeah, maybe Timber, is one of those, came out of nowhere. But maybe that's also why we're looking towards like the Dutch league and Ajax, because like they play a similar style. I don't know, like, those out of the blue kind of like random signings where the players but like super rated, by, people that watch outside of the Premier League. We don't do that many of those. I think we should do more of them, but I understand why we do Prem Proven, because most of them haven't worked out for us. Like Sambi, Fabio, Kivior is still questionable, so yeah. There's that. Terry says, looking fresh last. Thank you. Love the hair. Back on topic. No need for another goalie. We literally just signing Raya for almost 30 million. Yeah, just get a number 2. Cheap one. Very cheap. Please. Otani says Hartman's out until the fall, but he's a Cancelo Irwin hybrid. Make the deal go through. Bro, not a Cancelo Irwin hybrid. Come on. He can't be, because other people will be talking about him, right? That's a crazy mix. But out until fall, like, what kind of injury is it? What kind of injury is it? Let's see. Cool last name. I'm liking these names. Arsenal are ready to enter the race for Feyenoord left back. The Dutchman returns for an injury next season. He has serious knee injury next season. From a serious knee injury. I don't know, man. Serious knee. That's crazy. Also, Chelsea are interested. I don't know, man. Maybe I need to see some comps to get hyped about him a little bit more, but it's the injury that's just like it's ringing in my head. It's saying, "What a mistake! Can't believe you did that." You know. But yeah, maybe, maybe. Some of the comps I saw earlier on, I was like, "Oh, he looks okay." It's an ACL? Hell no. Y'all crazy. UK Arsenal says, "Yeah, Jess, let's get another cheap goalkeeper and end up with another Turner." I mean, you could do cheap. Like, you could do cheap two ways. You could end up with Matt Turner or you could end up with Matty Ryan. You know, Matty Ryan was a really good number 2 for us, like, and he was, like, free, you know, so cheap is not bad. Cheap doesn't always equal bad. We spent 72 million on Pepe, but we spent 27 million on Trossard. So, you know, that's all I'm saying. Cheap doesn't always mean bad, you know. Let's be serious, you know. Um, but yeah, just like what Chris said, cheap doesn't equal bad. Turner was bad scouting. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the goalkeeper situation. You guys, like, literally just bring somebody in with that's quality, that's okay with being a number 2. Like, let's not make it anything that it doesn't need to be done. I want all of you guys, there's 524 of you guys, to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And also remember that there is a live watch along for the U.S. men's national team versus Brazil game today. The stream is going to start at about 3:45 PST, which is 11:45 UK time. So for those of you guys who are up and awake and just are like, listen, I just want to hang out, we'll, you know, get in the chat, chit chat, a little bit of just a vibe while we watch the U.S. men's national team get destroyed by Brazil. Be my guest. The link is in the description for the She Knows Arsenal TIFO platform, where all the watch alongs will be there. So all you have to do is just like sign up and RSVP with the code Jessica, and you'll be good to go. And then there's further watch alongs there. So, you know, you can see that we will be booked and busy this whole summer watching football together for She Knows Arsenal. So I will see you guys later for sure. For those of you guys who are up and awake and want to take part in the watch along. And then tomorrow we'll see what's going on. And see if DG is available for a show. If not, then it'll just be me again, and maybe something will have happened by then. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. This was a really good show. I enjoyed it. You guys are the best. Like, I have so much fun with you guys all the time. So yeah, make sure you guys like and subscribe if you guys are new, and all that kind of stuff. Here's a super chat. Almost forgot it. Moses says, wouldn't mind Bowen, might be short for corners, but I think our main concern is number 6, and hopefully Xavi Simmons on loan would be nice. Fair enough. Actually, Jared Bowen has a really good stats aerially, for those of you guys that are wondering. So he is actually decent, you know, in the air. But main concern being number 6, I feel that midfield is definitely a concern, top of mind for a lot of Arsenal fans. Hopefully we get some clarity on that. I'm actually like, if you can't get Bruno Guimaraes and if you can't get Bruno Guimaraes, you can't get Douglas Luiz, you can't get Frankie de Jong or Zubimendi, and so all of those are off the table. I would say get like a really talented, like you guys were saying, like a Xavi Simmons type, somebody that can play out wide, but also play like kind of like an attacking mid and kind of switch things up there, or throw the bag at Crystal Palace for Adam Wharton. Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. I have a vision. I have a vision. So there you go. But yeah, make sure you guys like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. Thank you guys for all the super chats. And I'll see, hopefully, loads of you guys later on at 11 p.m. UK time. Yeah. Bye, guys.